Hello everyone and welcome to episode 6 of BiCo SMP season 2. And in the previous episode, as you may well have seen, we built this mob farm right here. And I have been doing the tiniest bit of AFK in between the two episodes, and if we just about fly over here and go check the chests out, you can see that we have a good supply of resources. Now, this is all very well and good. I plan to use the bones at some point if I ever need to make, say, if we consider that we need a dye farm or any sort of farm that would require a lot of bone meal, then there is plenty of space to do that. Now, the main thing I wanted to do in this episode is actually not at this base. It is away in the nether, and I wanted to make a wither skeleton farm. Because I haven't made one before, and I've seen a few designs, and I'd really like to make one. And normally, the biggest problem with this would be, oh, I don't have enough stone. But, as you know from a couple of, or last episode even, if we head down to this hole right here, I have done some digging. And not only are the chests down there full of stone, all of these chests here are to some extent filled with more stone. So what I want to do is I want to take this stone, convert it into slabs, take it all the way up into the nether or down into the nether, and we are going to be making a skeleton farm. So without further ado, let's go. Let's go build this thing. So here I am right at the nether fortress where I hope to build the farm, and as you can see, I've already undergone the task of making sure that most of the spaces, the spawn wall spaces, are all cleared. Now, this was only sort of a tiny little thing I was doing off camera because I wasn't entirely certain on if I was going to use this. But after scouting basically all other viable options, none of them really worked as well. So I'm hoping that today, in the little bit of time that I have in this episode, I will be able to more or less get most of the area around on the fortress itself slabbed up, then start slabbing around it, and then hopefully at some point we can get a bunch of wither roses. I need another wither for that, which is really annoying because withers aren't being very nice at dropping things right now, and then we should be ready to get this farm all up and running. So, without further ado, let's just get straight into that, and it'll probably be in the form of a time lapse. So, enjoy. So after many a box of stone into stone slabs, as you can see, we have done a lot of work, and now the fortress is a lot more spawn proof. I don't believe there's any other spaces within the fortress for any mobs to spawn. So we are good on that front. I may need to go over because I'm not quite sure if every hallway has been covered yet. But generally, I think we're pretty good and pretty solid on that. However, there is one fortunate thing to this. And if I go back to my little hovel over here and I show you what I've got in these shulker boxes, you will see in one of these, I have 3 wither skulls. And this is how we're going to make this farm a lot easier for me to make. And the way we're going to be doing this is basically we're going to make this whole spawning platform here that you can currently see is spawning pretty much everything that you can normally spawn. We're going to turn this into an exclusive zone for wither skeletons to spawn. And the way we do that is we use soul sand and wither roses. Now, the way we get rid of the roses is by killing a wither or having enemies die by a wither. So the way I'm going to have to do this is I'm going to go back to the overworld, get some snow, a lot of snow, and then I'll show you the results of that in a little bit in the end. Right, after a very, very quick setup, here is how I'm going to be getting all of these wither roses that I need for the platforms. This is an ENX04 design. I will link his channel description and the video itself down below if you want to see. It is ridiculously smart. It baffles me how people can create things this simple and yet be, you know, so well developed. So I am going to probably go AFK for probably about half an hour. I don't need to go AFK for that long, but I do want a good backup of wither roses just in case this farm design doesn't pan out as I would hope. And, well, I'll see you guys once I've got a bunch of wither roses. It's very loud, by the way. I've tested this already just to double check that this does work. It is loud. I'll say that. So yeah, I'll see you guys once I'm done with this farming. Alrighty, about a half an hour, probably closer to an hour of farming later, and this is how many wither roses we have. This is far more than I'll probably need, and it's probably really good because when I eventually do, you know, set the farm up completely, I will want to get more wither roses. So I'm probably going to leave this setup here for now. It's fine. It's good enough. It's perfectly fine for killing the wither anyway. So, you know, I'll just let people know on the server that this is here. I'll clean up the shulker box mess and we can get back to our wither farm project. I've done a little bit more slabbing. I'm going to do some more because a lot of work needs to be done. But before I do any more, I do want to first off get a platform laid out so that we don't have this happening. And also so I can start figuring out to what extent, aka what's the perimeter around this area, so that I know where I've gone too far and where I need to prioritize so that I can make sure that the amount of area that's being covered is optimal. So I'm probably going to go and do that now. And I'm going to lay out the platform. I'll come back to you guys in a bit once the platform has been laid out. And for the record, this is literally it. It's not the whole thing. I do need a piglin right on that block there, which is going to be a pain because the only one I think I have currently is holding a crossbow. I will see if I can get it to hold a sword. But he is going to be sitting there. All the wither skeletons will funnel in sort of from around here where they'll spawn. They'll funnel into the center. They'll drop down. And somewhere around here will be a killing chamber where I can sit there with a sweeping edge sword and get all the drops from them. Now, the only thing to... Oh, there's a guy over there. Now, the only thing to consider now is, first off, how far the wither skeletons need to fall. I did intend on testing it, but apparently I forgot to do that, so I still need to go ahead and just double check that. And then I can build the drop chute, and then I can start doing, well, the rest of the farm, and then this will be finally working. Now, of course, not all of the area, as you can see, and by our wonderful helpers over there have pointed out, is clear, but hopefully, fairly soon, I should be able to do the rest of it, because there's honestly not that much to do, and if the rates are good enough, I will just ignore doing this area, because spawn-proofing the Sultan Valley isn't really necessary. Not a lot of mobs spawn there. So, yeah. Anyway, time to do a little bit more science and see about getting this farm finally all ready. And after what feels like forever and a day, the farm is actually working now. It's not complete. I will say that first off. there is a couple of things I would like to do. I would like to have a second area for wither skeletons to spawn, but that's a bit of a logistical problem that I'll have to sort later. But as you can see here, there are wither skeletons in it, and oh my goodness, is it spawning stuff. So what I figured out from building this farm was that the actual area I needed to light up was not necessarily the Soul Sand Valley. What I've realized to really make this farm good was to light up all of the nether, or not light up, but slab all of the nether wastes. And the minute I had finished up doing the most of the nether wastes, this farm has been churning out wither skeletons. I mean, if I just go sit here, you can see we've got a skull there. We've got another one. And if we open this chest, you can see that we already have 21 wither skeleton skulls. So I think, for now, that calls this project complete. Of course, I will be continuing to slab over the rest of the Soul Sand Valley to absolutely squeeze out every last spawn I can possibly get. But for the most part, I would say this is this project done. Now on to other things. There is something that I've been tasked to do that I have been neglecting, and it involves the clip you're about to see.
Well, this is actually perfect timing because, Alexa, you know how you were asking me to build an iron shop? Well, not an iron shop, sorry, a rocket shop?
Yeah.
That's what Paper and I are here to discuss right now.
Yeah, this is really convenient timing because... So,
yeah,
the main idea that me and Axolotl were having was, right at the start of the season, I was sort of grinding away, like mining a bunch, and I got a bunch of materials that you were then going to use to build that creeper farm over there. And then one of my next episodes, I then went ahead and built a sugarcane farm right over at my base, which is probably the best looking base on the server, obviously. Nice one.
Oh, sorry, Paper.
But in doing this, we've realized sort of that, well, we can make a rocket shop because between the both of us, we have the resources to do so. And now we've not really touched on how we're going to build it, but I think the way that it is, because, you know, it's rockets and, you know, every other rocket shop on the server or every other rocket shop ever built by any Minecrafter ever is almost always a pixel art rocket. We were thinking we could swap it up and maybe go for a different style, maybe an actual rocket with a command center, sort of like a launch pad, like a full-on space facility as sort of a rocket shop. Which you now might be answering as a viewer, that's totally overkill. Why would you ever do anything like that? But I think it actually sounds really, really cool. Do you want to add anything?
So, and we were discussing kind of what kind of style we want to go for. Paper wanted to go with a more kind of factory style. I wanted to go with kind of more Atom Punk style. So we came to the decision, what if we kind of built our own section? I'm going to build the rocket, and Paper, you're going to build the command center.
Yeah. That's what we were sort of doing, because I think for the command center, it's going to be a lot of stone and a lot of like concrete. I have some ideas. I definitely need to draft some more things up in a test world on sort of where it's going to go, because the one thing that I do think about building something like this, it's really, really cool, but it's going to take up a lot of space. And I don't know about you, but we don't exactly have all that much space. There's this sort of lagoon area right here, and
Somebody stole my rockets. I can't follow you, but
and in keeping with the sort of theme, or not necessarily theme, but the general idea of space facilities where they're built on the coast, you could say maybe over here, but I'm not entirely sure. So that's probably something we're going to have to look at, you know, off camera in between episodes and trying to find out, you know, what we're going to do. But generally, that's the sort of idea we're going for right now. Is a command center, so a full like space facility basically.
Yeah. This is gonna be a shop that sells only rockets.
Yeah. So
now, we were discussing possibly being able to sell TNT in the future, but for now it's just planned to be rockets.
Yeah, we could sell a whole bunch of things, but for now, I think building the rocket and sort of like getting the foundation for that facility, we can then sell rockets to everyone, because that's the sort of idea, right? We just wanted to make a rocket shop. We can expand on things later, but that's sort of the idea that we want to go for. So that's what I've been tasked with. I have to build a lovely little command center for this rocket, and as you can see, Axolotl has already gone ahead and built all of it. I'm thinking that somewhere around here, maybe around the side. We could do one of those towers you see. Like if you look at somewhere like the Kennedy Space Center, they have a big old like tower that all the astronauts will climb up to get into the rocket for, so that they can put cargo into it and stuff. And over here we could have like a command center sort of thing with a bunch of like radio towers and sort of like all sorts of like communications and things over here. Maybe with a little production line feeding out in towards the tower, because this is where the rocket's going to be taking off and we want to get all of the items in. That's sort of what I've been tasked with. Now, that was about a week ago, so I'm already horribly behind schedule. And I was thinking, well, I've just got to design something now. So I'm probably going to have to go off the server for a little bit and design this, because unfortunately I am not as amazing a builder and cannot think of things on the spot. So yeah, I'm going to have to design something, and then we should be able to come back and build it, and it should look absolutely awesome. Probably not as good as this though. And while we're on the topic of shops, let's go see what stuff we have here. It looks like, I think there was already a diamond there, so that's okay. No cobblestone sword. Oh, but 9 diamonds there, and it's 1 diamond for 4 stacks. So I don't think that may be what. Yeah, okay, so I've been underpaid there, so I probably need to go chase that up with someone and double check that that's the case. But nonetheless, I will take the diamonds. Also looks like I sold a little bit of diorite for some reason, and no andesite sold. So we are making diamonds. It's not many, but it's a substantial amount. So yeah. I have prepared some resources, and even though I don't think this will be quite enough for the build, I do hope that we'll be able to get a good amount of the way there. So without any further ado, let's just crack on with this, because I have like today and maybe some of tomorrow to get this video out. So I've got to be very quick with this. So I do hope you enjoy the following video, and I've fallen in a hole. So enjoy the time lapse. Let's go. I have just run out of resources on this build, and I need to go get more white concrete to finish it. However, I would say that it is starting to look really impressive. One of the important things that I realized when I started building was the line of sight to the build. Because it's sort of situated very close to that hill, it's hard to get a sort of direct view of the whole thing, which means that when it came to getting its height right, as you can see, about 8 blocks of it or so are just completely under the eye line, which is sort of this bit of ground here. What that means is that I had to compensate for it by making it taller than I was expecting, and as a result, it needs to be a lot bigger, and I would say it's definitely looking a lot better. There's also some pillagers down there that I've decided not to kill. So one of the important things that I've decided sort of for this build as well was sort of that terraforming aspect, or at least how the build fits into the landscape. I have had to do a bit of terraforming for this. This is meant to be a control tower. This is sort of just an access pad up into the main rocket so that people without an elytra can go and buy rockets, because I don't know if Axolotl thought this through, but sometimes you need to buy rockets because you have none, and making a shop that requires you to enter with rockets, or at least a very good glide in. I mean, is that even possible? Hold on. Yeah, okay. But the way the rocket is built is definitely designed for someone like me with elytra and rockets rather than someone without those. So that's sort of why that's here. This is meant to be, of course, anyone who is remotely a space fan will say, you know, this is the Kennedy Space Center, and it's pretty much modeled after that. There are some changes that I made. Number one being, because this rocket is atom punk, it's not, you know, it's not modern in air quotes. That means that it's very hard to model the rocket to fit inside a building. If this was to be the actual Kennedy Space Center, it would be designed so that the building would be able to accommodate the whole rocket. But because of the way it's built on the landing pad and the fact that it's so large, I would have to build a much bigger building to house it all. I've decided that for the sake of sort of mixing the two styles here, I'm not going to make this building be able to fit. Instead, I'm theorizing this as a sort of command center where things are produced, manufactured and sent into the rocket to then be launched into space, rather than this being the place where the rocket is built and resourced. This is sort of like an outpost that you would see maybe in a colony or something, rather than being an actual rocket that is designed to be built, made, launched here. So that's sort of my thinking through it, and if that sounds very waffly, that's because it is. Unfortunately, I am actually genuinely out of time for this video. I want to get it up by tomorrow, and it is currently the day before. So I'm gonna have to do some very quick editing to get this whole thing, because I, as a complete moron, spent about a week not really doing anything for the video, and forgetting that I had clips that I needed to get together in an editor. So, of course, when we get back next episode, we will be finishing this off. We will start work on that. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.